just turning. So activating the belt of the waist. As though you have a wide elastic belt. Now just try just a few sipping. the mind in the Danchen. So that just lends what you do gravity, gravitas. Feel the resistance to whatever it is that you're doing and work with that resistance. So what we tend to do is use the mind to lighten the resistance so that our body can do it easily. So the mind can be absent, be thinking about other things. So here we just want to feel every millimeter. So the best image really is just imagine that you're in water. So you're having to push against the water. You're having to displace the water. And then just a few more turning. John once said to me, he said, energy is just like friction. So this sense that something is generated when you work against. So there has to be contra, there has to be a counter to what it is that you're doing. Otherwise, what you do will simply use energy rather than generate it. Keep the stick still and just turn the head. The spirit is awake, a little bit excited, but internally gathered. So most people's spirit is all over the place. They're intent on having fun, which is basically a dispersed spirit. And now let's just try a few pulling and pushing. pulling the stick, so trying to pull your hands away from each other. So relaxing the shoulders down into the elbows. And then just pushing the stick. And then pulling again, but start pulling as you start breathing in. So breathing in. And then pushing as you breathe out. And then again. So what we're trying to do really is just feel as though it's this pulling, pushing action that's actually bringing the air in and out. There's a sense that you're sort of giving the diaphragm a rest. Most of the things that we do, that we've been doing a long time, we don't do very well. There's a sense here that you can just relax into the pulling and the pushing and get a deeper breath because you're not having to use your anxious diaphragm and lungs and belly. So just start breathing in again and just and then out. Then one more in. And one more out. Anchor the down chin. So the thumb in the navel, fingers underneath. Pushing in a little bit just to really feel it. So we want to feel the difference between mind and energy. So I want this sense that my mind is here in my danchen. The danchen sort of traps the attention, traps the mind. It's almost like an act of contrition. So once the mind is here and under some sort of control, then you can just notice a sense of expansion, a sense of a brightness around you. It's really just it's what we've been working on, the peripheral vision. This sense of energy, this sense of like an energy aura around you that requires you to be centered. So mind in danchen, it's very much like an enfolding, a furling up, a curling up, curling into a center, like a withdrawal. And then this other, the energy opening out from that is just the opposite, really. So this is sort of heavy and gloomy, and this is bright and light. We just need to become Taoists to just really feel the Taoist truth, feel that without this, I cannot have this. Not for any time anyway. Okay, so let's stand up and do some real work. Let's just breathe. So here, just really contracting into the dantian and then just expanding out. So here you can just feel this is the mind coming into the dantian and then the attention going into the light energy all around you. So the central vision, peripheral vision. Feel the head is sort of bending forwards here, and then the head tips back a little bit as you arch back. And just feel the coccyx doing the same thing. So the head is leaning back a little bit and my tail is sticking back a little bit. And then as the head comes forwards, my tail is rolling under. So just trying to wake up the tail. Get into the toes. So here, like my little toes and my little fingers reaching out, and then here, curling up. Riding horse. Feel the feet. The weight predominantly in the heel, so that the toes can really splay. So when we're standing in riding horse, or in Tai Chi when we have one foot forwards, we want the feeling that the big toes are angling in, but the little toes are angling out. So it's your middle toe, your third toe that's actually pointing forwards. So your big toe is you. It's that sort of the heavy part of you, the part that you bring into the Danchen. And the little toe is that light, spirited part that's always trying to reach out and explore. That's also in the knees. And now let's just try some of this exercise. So turning. So we still haven't really started moving from leg to leg. Now we're just turning. So pure movement. So when you're turning authentically, there's a sense that everything is moving, even the room. Your eyes are blurring, and is all the eyes can see is movement. So the room may as well be moving. And then just gradually wake up the feet again. So as I turn to the right, it's because my right toes are grabbing the ground. That releases the left toes, which splay, and then they grab the ground. So it's very much like climbing a rope. So the hand goes out. Think of yielding as being pulling. So I'm pulling the person into my leg. If I want to bring energy up from the ground and out of my upper body, I need to be able to do the opposite. So I need to be able to bring energy from the world and just pack it into my legs or into the ground beneath my foot. So one half of your body is going down as the other half comes out. So you're not losing your root, you're balanced. So there's a temptation when we use the upper body to become all upper body and lose the legs a little bit. So there's always two-way traffic. I'm bringing the world in and down so that something can come up and out. So this is especially important when we do the form. Most people's form, it's basically upper body activity supported by these two bent legs. So really it should just, you should have a sense that you're draining down all the time, at least in one half of the body. So this is why, when we did the figures of eights, John really stressed the bottom circle of the figure of eight, because that's the bit that's in your legs and getting into the ground. And without that, the top circle has no real connected power. Okay, so let's just bring it back. Feel the posture. And then just go down a little bit more. And just feel how different it feels. So the closer to the ground it gets, the more true. The less of you there is to you. Just moving from leg to leg now. Pulling with the toes. So here my toes really splay and extend. And then here they really claw at the ground. So you can think of the toes pulling in or of the knee going out. So this is yielding, yielding with the leg. You're yielding to the ground. You're bringing the ground in. I'm just using my arm to assist the leg. So the problem is with using the upper body is we're so used to it, we're so used to feeling it. Quite quickly, my attention will go into my arm rather than my leg. So I just have to try and make sure that it's the leg that I'm with. Feel the foot pulling in, the knee going out, the hip folding here. So the last thing I want is to pull with the foot and it to pull the hip over the leg. I'm pulling and this is breaking here. I'm effectively turning towards the foot I'm going into. We just have to work with resistance. So just make it difficult. My body is really reluctant to move. And so my foot really has to pull the ground. My knee really has to go out. This joint really has to open before my body shows anything less than reluctance. So it's the ability to work with imagined resistance that lends your form energy, makes it look like Tai Chi, rather than simply floating, going through the motions. You just have to split the mind into two. One part is really trying its hardest to pull me in that direction. And the other mind is saying, okay, if you want me to move that direction, make me. So these two parts of you are like testing my resolve. And then when you do move, it's got a certain quality. Yeah, so we just do it really slowly and carefully and attentively so that we can really explore what's actually going on. The anatomy, if you like, the structure of the event. I'm pulling here with my toes. For a moment, I'm just not allowing the body to move. Because what I want is for that pull to bring something up me. This is very much related to the thymus. So it's what I call the prince or the princess, depending upon your sex or your preference. I prefer to be a princess. So I pull with the foot and something rises up me. And then I want to sense that it's that that's actually drawing my body after it. So as I pull with the foot, my body stays down, and that allows this sense of nobility to lift up me. My body just floats after it. So it will only come up, this thing, it will only come up in such a way that you can use it, that you can see that it's separate from the rest of you, if you keep the sacrum down. So you keep that sense of sinking. So it's only by sinking the body that the princess can come up, can rise. So it's just spirit, really, but it's almost solid. It's almost got a solidity like the body. It comes up and it just really wants to extend towards the other, towards the space I'm turning towards. Something in me comes up and out as my hand draws in and down. So let's just bring it back to riding horse. So maybe with a wider stance than normal. Just look down at your feet. Just make sure the big toes are just coming in a little bit, and really spread the toes so that your little toes have a sense that they're almost trying to escape behind you. So the opposite of how the normal person's foot is. So because the shoes that we wear have these narrow toe boxes generally, our toes angle in. The old lady I used to work with that's just died, she was short, so she wore high heels when she was younger. And it just, her feet were so crunched in, the toes would sort of wrap over each other. And she had no feeling or mobility in the toes whatsoever. They may have been not had any toes. So a lot of the active spirit requires your feet to be really pliable and active, and each toe to have like its own personality, which you can investigate. When you really drive into the heels, then the toes can have a sense that they're coming off the ground and spreading. And then just sink, just go down. So this sense that something is spreading from here and down into the big toes. So that's your structural stability, if you like. And then this detail can then sprout out of that, which is the little toes. So we want the sense that this region here is just like a bowl. So your legs and your hips are creating like a bowl that you, the spine and the skull, sits inside. Okay. Just coming off the leg. The first step in the form. So how do we do this? In order to lift one foot up, I have to empty that leg. So I do that by filling the other leg. So I actively fill the leg. So what that requires is that there's activity in my knee. So rather than just going over the foot like this and using it as a prop that's sort of holding me up, I want to use the leg, the filling leg, to really drag me down into it. So the knee goes out and that draws me down. And then again here, the knee goes out, really drawing me down. The leg is trying to really get my sacrum onto the ground or into the ground rather than allowing it to rest upon it. And the feeling is just that you're coming into that little toe edge, the outside edge of the foot. And there's always this tendency to fall in. It requires a lot of courage to be in that outside edge because it's not very strong and it really feels like it sort of melts into the ground. You don't have that strong buttress against the ground that you have with the big toe. My knee takes me down into the ground beneath that foot. Continue, but just use a count of 3. So just hoiking the leg up 3 times. So 1, 2, and then the last one, just trying to bring it higher than your hip. The knee goes out, and then this leg, 1, 2, 3, really pulls the lower back under. So what we're very good at is controlling. To release the knee, you need to just relinquish control, if only for a moment. So the knee goes out, and then that draws my body with it. It's like releasing a bird. So what tends to happen? We become familiar with the feeling of the body moving in this way. And then the ego will requisition it and take control. But I just really want to feel, what is it that actually really just starts the whole thing going? It's my spirit, and my spirit expresses in the knees. Knee. So if it really is the knee that's been activated, then you will always sink. The sacrum will always get dragged towards the ground. So that was wrong. The worst thing is when you think you know what you're doing. That's a sure sign that the wrong part of you has taken control. So it's like an event. It's like we're creating an event of the leg being off the ground. So the event is only an event if it's being generated by a spirit. So the best thing is if it's someone else's spirit, almost forcing you to wake up and attend to them. But in the absence of another person, we can use our own. If I fall into the leg, then it's dead. I have to just put the foot down and just wait until I'm calm, and then I can just release this out. The big toes curling in, trying to complete the circle, and the little toes trying to rupture the circle. And now let's just try the figures of eights. Keeping that balance between one hand doing the bottom circle and the other hand doing the top circle. So this hand is trying to get underneath my foot, and this hand is just trying to get over my head. I am enclosed within, I'm encapsulated. So the arms are twisting like this all the time, corkscrewing. Feel the middle fingers, because the middle finger is like the axis of the twist. You twist around the middle finger. So there's a sense that it's the tip of the middle finger that's actually leading the figure of eight. The big toes coming round, driving into the outside edge of the heels will bring the big toes round and will also enable the little toes to escape out. It's like the conditional and the unconditional, or the external, if you like, my body and my spirit. Just the form up to single whip. Quiet and still. One thinks almost that they mean the same thing. Most people want to be still so that they can become noisy, so that they can start cogitating. So we want our stillness to also be a sense of quietude, a sense of inactivity in the mind. So my mind is not thinking, it's just looking around, it's just scanning and just allowing the spirit just to come alive. So this sense of the head being suspended from above, which will then enable my sacrum just to release down. And this feeling that my legs are always about to bend. They're not locked. If they're locked, then I have to unlock them before I do anything. So they're about to melt down. And when they do, the knees will always go out, not forwards, just out and forwards, if you like. Knee goes out, just the same as we were doing before. And then I step out. And then here I circle around this foot. And then I circle here to bring these toes around. And then I just release. The wrists incredibly light, pulling up. And then the elbows take over with their heaviness to draw the hands in and down. I reach forward. Someone is attacking me with their right hand. So I reach forwards with my right hand, and then I yield. The left hand takes over so that this hand can sneak up the arm. I bring the foot up and just rest it on the inside of my knee. And then I step out. Comes up, but I brush the knee as I bring it up to help, to make sure it is my spirit, my knee that's going out. And then here I can use this to bring the toes round. And then I just continue that yield here and reach out. And again, I can just rest the foot here until I become still and relaxed again, and then reaching out. And then this comes up. And now here I can just turn, do a circle here to bring around those toes. And then roll back. This is another circle rounding out the knee. And then forwards for press. Yield, yield, attack, and attack. elbows heavy and the sacrum heavy. And my legs and my hips trying to hold on to the sacrum so lightly that it can move around. There's a lot of play. So my mind has to be really quiet to keep it still. So you can either just draw your head up, hand or hand at the back of the neck, just like my edge of my hand is just hooking underneath the back of my head, or just the finger here. The nice thing about this is that it doesn't just push the chin in towards the throat, it actually pushes your body backwards a little bit so that this can come forwards a little bit. So that's important. So most of our lives, this is in the wrong position. The sacrum is just a tiny bit back from where it should be. So when the sacrum is forwards, there's a real lift of joy and spirit inside you. Okay, so now this foot goes out. So this sense that that circling of the foot is turning me towards this corner. And then this is like a step backwards. This knee starts pulling now, and so that's pulling me towards it. And then this knee starts pulling, but I use that just to bring the toes round. I don't let the body move into the foot again. Really relax wrists, and then feel the sacrum just making the elbows heavy. And now one. So this hand is brushing the knee. And then I yield here. This hand takes over, and then this hand can brush the knee and come up to the person's elbow. Resting here until the sacrum is relaxed again. And then stepping, and then sweeping this up. Just feel this hand, the middle finger of the bottom hand here, coming into this point in the groin where you can feel your artery, where you feel your blood pumping. So that's coming in there. So this hand is helping me root in this leg so that this arm can do quite a big circle. This is getting into the leg, and then this can really reach out. Rounding out the knee. And then here, just same as the last one, really, it just stays up rather than going down. This bit is difficult because what tends to happen is everything comes up here. So just try and use this hand here, the back hand, just to connect with this point in the groin. Yield. This just takes out the knee. Back, yield, yield, attack, attack. Two more times. So the first time, just using this to generate the whole thing. So here, I'm circling here, and then I circle here and here. Now this You can do circles here, but it's just, I normally miss this bit out. So here, this is interesting when you come into the press, because basically you've got to go around this foot and then around this foot again. So you're going around the front foot, and then it's like here. He just sort of whips around the back foot. It seems like we're just putting in too much detail, but if you actually do it really quickly, it just makes it really crisp and sparky and spirited. And then circle here, and then this has to attack first, and then this can attack, and then single whip. And now let's just try one more, this time using the figures of eights. So it's sort of the same thing, it's just got this sort of constriction in the middle, like the figure of eight. So there's a sort of tightness. Okay, I'm going to do the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this can just be a bit where we lift the hands, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just back to attention. So head suspended. So you can sort of just pull the skin on your scalp, or just lift, stretch the neck. I'm stretching the neck so that my sacrum can just drop down and hook under, because the excess tension in our lower back pushes the sacrum so your tailbone is angling backwards. If this is really relaxed and hanging, so I think that's what they mean by relax the waist, basically just relax the lumbar spine, then the sacrum will have this sense it's cutting underneath. And then just this sense that my legs are just always on the verge. It's all tendencies. It's a tendency to sink. And also a tendency to turn. When the legs become really soft, then there's this sense of it's always wanting to turn, but it will only turn a little bit before it wants to turn back. It's like almost a sense of contrariness. So really it's just sort of waking up to the natural body, feeling all the processes that are going on inside the body, your digestion, your breathing, your heartbeat, all your metabolizing processes, especially the craniosacral pump. But when you connect with that, there's just a sense of intoxication. And it's quite similar to actually the intoxication you experience with alcohol, because that you realize just how incredibly coarse that sort of slightly drunk feeling is. It's almost like an abnegation of responsibility. It just enables you to just forget all your woes for a moment. So that's not really what we want. We just want to feel that underlying wooziness, just the energy. It's an awakening we're after, not an escape. And the ego will always try and claim it and produce its version, a vulgar copy. And you just don't want that to be able to fool you anymore. There should be something in you that just says, no, I know that's phony. I just want to be still and just wait for the spirit to make it happen. And it may take all day. Okay. Thank you very much.